Ladies and gentlemen, I cover all sorts of stuff on this channel. But what I'm going to cover today is one of the most generational, one of the most legendary, one of the most epic runs of chess you have never seen in your life. And I did not misspeak. Because this event should have gotten a lot more eyeballs on it, and after this recap, it will. It deserves all of the attention in the world. I'm talking about Alice Lee. Alice Lee is a 16-year-old chess prodigy from the United States who just won the Women's Speed Chess Championship. And 3 out of her 4 opponents are some of the most accomplished women ever in chess. Alexandra Kosteniuk, who has won the World Championship in basically every freaking format. Ju Wenjun, the reigning, defending, undisputed women's world champion, and she is arguably the most well-rounded woman in the world right now as it pertains to chess, and Hou Yifan, the final boss, the world champion who went on to do even bigger and better things outside of the world of chess, a multiple-time speed chess championship champion herself. And she defeated all these players. I'm going to show you some of my favorite games. This was just amazing, honestly, especially because not too long ago, Alice Lee was crushed in a match against Ju Wenjun. She was blown off the board in that match because Ju Wenjun is crazy good at chess. So I'm going to first show you my favorite game from the match against Alexandra Kosteniuk. I will go through this match as well against Anastasia Avramidou, who's a Greek player and who had a very good run as well. Alice Lee beat her 11 games out of 12 at some moment. She went on a 9-game winning streak in this match, and she won this match 19.5 to 4.5. That is a soul-crushing match. This was my favorite game against Kosteniuk. Here we go, knight to f3, Alice Lee playing the ready, g3, and Alexandra Kosteniuk was going knight c6, trying to seize the center immediately with e5, which is why Alice Lee was switching to d4, and then black was going bishop f5, followed by knight to b4. It doesn't really matter because it's not like you're going to blunder anything here, but basically the idea is to make white put the knight on the edge of the board, and then play e6. And Alice was just playing this in a way that was very humorous. She was just like, I'm not going to kick the knight out. You want to put the knight there, you can. Just going to castle, and we'll see what you do. And Alexandra was moving the knight back. So you might look at this and go, hold on, this breaks every principle of every opening video I've ever watched. And the answer is, and yes, that is the reality. That is the reality. Knight here, and then knight there, and then knight back is funny, but white's position isn't that great as a result. I think the best move here for white is actually to put the knight back on b1, but Alice played c4 and tried to turn this into a little bit of a Catalan. Unfortunately, this allows bishop takes knight, which ironically is black's best move, shatters the pawn structure completely, and leaves the position just better, which is why, better for, not better, completely equal, no longer better for white. That's why you have to go knight b1. I used to play this myself a little bit with black. Bishop b4, again, it's blitz. You try to play the best to your ability. b3, also not the best move, but it doesn't really matter because there was a clear idea here from Kosteniuk. The idea was bishop to e7, knight to c2, and then h5. This is the good stuff. This is Tony. I mean, like, oh my, just h5, h4. So now white has to go h4, right? But Alice Lee, she's a very good tenacious player. She's good in tenacious positions that require her to buckle down and not lose. She played a couple of games in this event that were kind of like that. Knight h6 from Kosteniuk, and now bishop f4 developing, knight f5, and black in a moment plays f6. This is some scrappy chess. I mean, we're looking at g5, h4. Clearly an attack is brewing on the white side of the board here. Alice goes knight e3. Look at the absolute cluster of chaos here in the middle of the board. Very difficult to kind of figure out what's going on. g5, Alexandra has fulfilled almost like the pieces of Exodia of her position. Shout out Yu-Gi-Oh! The OG Yu-Gi-Oh! Not whatever the heck is going on now. But This is a really nasty position to have to calculate here. H takes, F takes. I mean, black is going H4, G4, completely opening up. It's actually a masterclass of how to attack a castled king while your king is in the middle of the board. Knight takes F5 is played. And here, GF4 is required. Just leaving the knight to roam around, to take the bishop, to give a check or something like that. Bishop F5 is going backwards, and you don't want to go backwards. You need to commit forward, pawn takes, or GF4. In general, you should avoid going backwards. I'm not coaching Alexandra. She's a far better player than me. I'm simply letting you know. Going back, you got to be really careful because now comes bishop e5, which I think she might have overlooked or underestimated. It's very weird that you super voluntarily give up a piece like this, but bishop e5 takes back control of the game, and after rook h7, pawn takes d5, Alice Lee was back in business. Now she controls the pace. Black is not going h4, g4 in a moment. Knight d2, and you are preparing the move e4, and you are trying to seize back the control of the game. This is not the best trade in the world, but still it's okay. And now, again, 2 retreating moves, and Alice Lee was like, I'm not letting her get away with this. e4, ripping open the position with the king on the other side of the board. Alexandra tries to close the position down, and here the best move, I think, is f4, but we get e6 and e5. I mean, this is just so funny. Have you ever seen a position like this where the cars just play bumper cars? They smash into each other again. B7 is hanging. Now black is never going to castle in that direction. Rook c7, you win a pawn, and she's still going for the checkmate. So you got to be really careful here not to just get mated. So Alice brings her queen, gives a check, and that's clean. That is clean. The bishop is pinned to the king, picks up the material, and now just has to consolidate. And I think she won this game with no drama, no memes, only dreams. And yeah, this is easy. Block everything out. Everything is well protected. And Kosteniuk resigned here. This match did go to overtime. I mean, I could make a full recap just about this match, but she beat Alexandra Kosteniuk, who has won the world championship like 7 different times. She's won the rapid, the classical, pretty sure she won Fischer Random or freestyle. She's won like every world championship. I don't know if she's won a blitz. She might have, but she's gotten very close. She's one of the most accomplished women in the world of chess in the last 20 years. Beats her. Then, this match. Alice Lee lost the first game of this match. She was down 1-0 in the semifinal. And she won 9 games in a row and 11 out of 12. And I really like this game. Again, I'm not going to rub it in here. I mean, she had a very dominant performance, but I really like the way that she won this game. Her opponent tried to expand on the queen side early. Alice met her there on the b file, and then she just brought all her pieces, took on b4, took on c1, and just you know, converted. Knight d5, and I thought the end of this game was very vicious. You're about to see it. She goes queen e6, takes, backs out with the knight, and then the king just gets mated on the outskirts. It can't even return home because that knight is so strong. Absolutely dominant win. We don't have to highlight, you know, she was the favorite in this match, but to win by 15 points is extremely impressive. Let's see how she took down Ju Wenjun. I like 2 games in particular in this match. She beat Ju Wenjun 9.5 to 3.5, I'm pretty sure. She won with such a crazy margin. They didn't play a lot of blitz games because their games were so long that match timer was this game I was extremely impressed with. Why? Because Ju Wenjun is a very good player in form, and she put so much pressure on Alice. It was a Slav defense. Alice got into a positional grindy game. She still tried to, you know, be provocative on the king side with the pawns, but like, this is absolute vintage peak Ju Wenjun. Everything is pressuring the queen side. Alice is trying to play scrappy defense. She's doing a pretty good job on time, not getting too low here. Rook d8, maneuvering. But I mean, the experienced world champion is just doing what a world champion does. Excellent maneuvering. Alice is going to go down to 39 seconds here against 154. And she is much worse. Black has vicious rook pressure, bishop pair, the open board sniping from all over the place. Absolutely dominant advantage here. How is Alice going to defend against this? And she defends masterfully. So the rook goes to d2. That is not the best move. The king comes over to defend. Here, bishop h3. I mean, the position is on the ropes. She has 15 seconds to defend herself. There is bonus time. You don't just lose on time. Now, bishop c5 here is just crushing. Bishop c5, probably she didn't see a way through after rook d8, but there is one. She goes f e4. Everything in black's position should fall apart right now. She goes g4, tries to kick out the bishop. Pawn takes f5 is the best move. And now white needs to go bishop c5. She had to give away this bishop, take the knight, right? And if bishop c5, rook d8, there apparently is a way for white to just break through and win that position. I don't exactly know where it is. Bishop c5, rook d8, just go back. It's very difficult for black to make a move. But she doesn't play the best way. And Alice goes knight b5, which is not the best move, but she rook d7, and she is just scrambling, defending her king, avoiding disaster. Suddenly, Ju Wenjun is down to only 30 seconds, and Alice has a rook on the second rank. And after you get the rook to the second rank, here comes the knight. The knight is the trickiest piece when there's time trouble. 3 seconds remaining. You blunder bishop g7. White doesn't spot it. Knight to c3 back. It's a huge scramble. It's complete chaos. 1 second. Alice Lee made that move with 1.1 on the clock. She could have lost the game. She is losing. She has 1 second remaining. Every move is getting played with a second on the clock. She's just desperately trying to defend the position. Rook g1, rook g1, rook g2. The knight comes in. But Ju Wenjun finds herself in a position here where the bishop is going to be lost. And Alice Lee, Hikaru-esque in her defense, dare I say, holds this position. She plays, I don't even know how many moves with less than 10 seconds. She played like 40 moves with less than 10 seconds remaining. She probably played like 15 of these moves with 1 second on the clock. And she wins the endgame. She outplays Ju Wenjun over 90 moves and wins the game. Just absolutely incredible defensive patience. Because these are the games that you lose, you get squished by a world champion, and then you're just like, you're tilted, you're not, you're never going to be happy with your performance. This game was just dominance, though. This was not defensive. This was pure offense. This was a Catalan, which Alice Lee clearly plays, Catalan, ready, these types of things. Knight e4, and this kind of turned into a Queen's Indian defense, e5. Black tried to play a little bit unorthodox, but it's going to come back to bite, and I think this is bullet, right? So in bullet, obviously the time control is a little different. You go for different types of openings. Alice expanded on the queen side here, and, I mean, this was such a nice game. She put the knight on b5 to monitor this. She brought in her queen over here. She's obviously looking to attack, and the center could open up in a moment as well. Bishop g7, she puts the queen over here. That's a target, and bishop h3. Now, the way that she wins this game is so vicious. I mean, it's just so brutal. The final position is utterly disgusting. She's up 2 pawns. Black cannot move any major piece. If you move the knight, you lose. If you move the rook, you lose. If you move the rook, well, okay, then nothing happens, but that's all you can do, just go back and forth. If you move the king, you lose. The best player in the world, reduced to a square, to a cube, right? Ju Wenjun, Alice Lee was a shocking match. She had a generational performance, and the best move is just to bring the king, and black resigned, because black only can go there and there for the duration of the game, and you go rook g7, and I go h4, and you go rook e7, and I go g4, and you go rook g7, I go g5, rook e7, I bring my king, and then I'm just going to promote. She beat Ju Wenjun with authority, and she qualified to play Hou Yifan, who is so good and so experienced and has won this tournament I don't know how many times, and obviously was the world champion, and I don't know if she would be the world champion if she would continue to play, but she went to Oxford and did a whole bunch of other stuff, yeah. Let's see this match. This was a very close match. This was a very fun game. Alice Lee was rocking the Petrov defense. Unfortunately, she was not playing the Stafford Gambit. And this is a very famous line where you go knight d7 and you trade, and I'm pretty sure this was played in the candidates tournament. White doubles the pawns, has some, active ideas on that side of the board. Bishop c5 was played by Alice Lee, castles. I mean, visually here, the position looks like it's just ripe for black to just get checkmated because you play like f4, f5, f6. But you can't. You can't. Because if you go queen h5, I'm going to go g6. And you're going to go here. Then I'm going to attack this pawn, which you can't defend. Right? Now, if you could defend it, if you could play f4, this would be a very different story, but then your queen would get trapped, kind of. You would have to go here. So, white doesn't get everything here. I mean, it looks like white should just get a perfect attacking position, but black's position is resilient. And also, black plays this move. Now the bishop is blocked. This bishop is going to go to e6. There's not going to be a checkmate. Still, White is going to do world champion things. Rook b1, b6, and now she offers a trade, which Alice accepts, goes here, and now we have a very, strong position, queen e7. I mean, I would go c5 in a second, but it's not the best move because it allows white to play bishop e2, rook d3, bishop f3, and put pressure here. So you got to move the queen first. Then king h1, queen c5 hitting the rook, forcing it. Do you go back or left? And you go rook h3. So clearly an attack is trying to be built up over here, and rook f7, looking potentially to play g6, rook g7, etc., defending everything in the position. Now you have a position like this, right? World Championship experience from the white side. It all points to the fact that an attack is going to brew, and it's going to be very bad news for the underdog teenager world, challenger here. Rook d8. She puts this rook back on d3, plays queen d2, and clearly wants to stockpile a lot of pressure. But actually, it's black's position now that is for choice. Kind of interesting, because these pawns are just bad. Those pawns are bad, and they're going to be bad in the long run. And even though you can try to make a lot of improving moves here, Alice Lee here should have actually went queen a3 and just very greedily hunted that pawn. She went queen a5, but that allows rook d4, and queen a3 wouldn't have allowed rook d4 because after rook d4, you would have went c5. And actually, maybe c5, rook d... There is, because there might be rook b3 here. Maybe queen a3 wouldn't have quite worked as well as I thought. Oh, queen a3 and c5, but there is rook b3. All right, queen a5. Never mind. I don't know anything. That's why I'm analyzing the game. Rook d4, g6, rook c7, rook c8. Now, what's funny here is that Hou Yifan is at some point going to get a rook pushed back like that. And this is apparently, despite it being very natural, and these rooks look absolutely stupid, this is actually better for white. I don't understand how it's better for white, but it's better for white. Now Alice Lee goes here, and c4. So Hou Yifan apparently has a slightly better position here. I don't exactly see it, but maybe it's because of a5 and this infiltration. And I love the way Alice handles this position. Again, she's a very tenacious player. She goes king h8, queen e1 back, g5. So white never actually committed to this and played too slowly. And Alice is like, hey, what if I started an attack, brought my bishop around this way, and then rotated everybody to the g file? Both these rooks are just doing whatever they're doing on that side of the board. So why don't I just go g5? And this is a problem. g5 is a major problem here for white to solve. And you can try to defend with the queen. You can try to take. She ultimately takes, and that's bad because this supercharges black's position. Black is going to get 19 points of material this way. Now this is too slow. You go a5. Now it's too slow. Now you're defending yourself. And Alice Lee, this is a crisp counterattack. Bishop back to c8. A b6, bishop b7 with vicious intentions here. White has to scramble back and defend with bishop f1. And now a6. What a move. And the b pawn is blocking white's own infiltration, which means it's just a matter of time. You have 30 seconds to defend here. You do not feel comfortable. This is not a position that ever feels comfortable in a million years to defend. And it's not going to be comfortable to defend because f4 comes in and queen e5. And this is just brutal. Rook g3 is there. Rook is here. Queen is going to come back. The rook is going to go to e3. I think what white had to play after f4 is rook e1 and defend. But obviously, rook e1, she probably saw f3 and was just like, I'm losing. But she has to sack her rook. If Hou Yifan watched more Gotham content, she would know to sacrifice the rook for defensive measures. And it's actually not over. And the point is that if you take with the pawn, queen f5 attacks everything. Rook f8, rook g8, everything is coming in. So king h2, queen e5, and Alice Lee, at this point, it's too late because she is just winning here. The a-pawn is going down the board. Rook f8, queen b8, queen b2. Brutal. Simplification into the endgame, and this is the end. c2, rook c3. That bishop never moved again. That bishop backed up to defend the position 22 moves ago on the 35th move. And that is how she won. Now, this was a very close match. I mean, it was super back and forth. Hou Yifan was putting up an excellent fight, and it was 9-8 at the very end. But ultimately, Alice Lee pulled ahead and won the 2026 Women's Speed Chess Championship. 16 years of age, international master with maybe 1 GM norm. I could be wrong. I mean, she could have 2 or she could have 0. I don't think she has all 3, though. So it's either 0, 1, or 2. Very strong player. One of the best online women's players in the world. That's just the reality. A lot of the top women, like, I don't think Ju Wenjun plays a lot online for fun. Alice Lee plays a lot online. A lot. In fact, I'm going to tell you what my score is against her, and then we're going to sign off. I don't know the last time that we've played, but we have played against each other. Never mind, we've never played against each other. Oh. I must have played against her. I don't know. Huh. Maybe I played against her on my secret account. I don't know. But anyway, that is all I have for you today. And hope you enjoyed the video. Crazy accomplishment. Congratulations to her. Get out of here.